Hey, it's NPR's Book of the Day. I'm Andrew Limbong. Angela Merkel was Chancellor of Germany from 2005 to 2021. That's a long time. And from her perch, she was privy to so many world-changing events, a migrant crisis, military aggression, and, of course, a pandemic. She writes about it all in her new memoir, Freedom, and in this interview, through a translator with NPR's Louise Kelley, Merkel talks about going toe-to-toe with leaders such as Vladimir Putin and President Donald Trump, and what she thinks a second Trump term means for America's role on the world stage. That's up ahead.
All this year, NPR traveled the country, hearing from voters not just about the issues, but about their hopes for the country's future.
We should be able to disagree with each other without bullying each other into submission.
And what it means to be a part of a democracy. Invest in coverage that moves us forward together by giving today at donate.npr.org.
In her new memoir, Angela Merkel writes about the many dilemmas she had to navigate as Chancellor of Germany, dilemmas her male colleagues never had to sweat. Like, can you wear a pantsuit instead of a skirt in the Bundestag, Germany's parliament? She decided the answer was yes. Well, Merkel is the only woman ever to rise to the most powerful political post in Germany. She served as chancellor from 2005 to 2021. When she joined me from Berlin to talk about her memoir, Freedom, there were so many things we wanted to ask about her record on everything from the economy to energy to Europe's migrant crisis. But we were given just 11 minutes, no edits, and so we focused on a few key things: U.S.-German relations, Vladimir Putin, and female leadership. But you describe a moment in 2017. You were on stage at the G20. You were asked, do you see yourself as a feminist? And you had to really think about it. Why?
Well, it was a sort of preparatory meeting for the G20 meeting in Germany, in Hamburg. And I was asked that question. I had to think about that for a moment, because with classical feminism in Germany, I link up something that means that there were real activists, female activists for women's rights, and I was not part of them. And I thought about that, and in this course of my political career, I got to the conviction that equality, the participation of women, is not something that comes about automatically, and that therefore I have to stand up, and I have stood up and become active for women's quotas, for the promotion and development of women. And therefore, in my book, in my way, I write now that I have been a feminist because I have always advocated the equal participation of women and men in the world.
So if I ask you today in 2024, do you see yourself as a feminist? What's the answer?
Yes, in my way, I feel as a feminist, yes.
One of the many male leaders you have wrangled with is Vladimir Putin. And I want to spend a little time on him and what you have learned from dealing with him. You are famously afraid of dogs. Putin knows this. Would you tell me what happened in Sochi in 2017?
Well, he knew about it. I already told him when I first saw him officially. Nevertheless, when I came to the official visit in 2006 in Moscow, he already gave me a puppy dog as a gift. And in Sochi, I saw his real dog.
A toy puppy dog,
and
right?
And it was a toy. And this was an attempt to really try to sort of inspire fear into me in a certain way. But I tried not to let him know and not to let him sense it. And, well, I tried to go on business as usual. And we started our talk.
You said you tried not to show fear. Did you feel fear?
No, at that very moment I was not fearful. I was absolutely confident that President Putin already knew that nothing aggressive could have happened, and therefore I didn't feel any fear.
So with this as backdrop for the way that you two have interacted, you write at length in the book about Russia, about Ukraine, and I want to focus on one moment, 2014. Little green men have appeared to occupy Crimea, the Ukrainian peninsula. And you write, Chancellor, that you confronted Putin on the phone, your word, that you confronted him, not that you called him. with your suspicion that these armed men wearing green uniforms were in fact Russian soldiers. And you say he replied with a barefaced lie. What happened in that call?
Well, already when he called me up, I was fully aware that it was most likely that these were military forces from Russia on Crimea, and that, of course, has changed my relations with Putin. We had controversies always, we had controversial talks and discussions always, but up until then, it was my feeling that he didn't tell any lies, and this was a lie, and he admitted to that later on, and that has fundamentally changed our relationship, because I always had to be very cautious, not knowing whether he was telling the truth or not, and that's what I describe in the book.
And you write, and I'm quoting, "The rule breaker was setting the terms. He had to be stopped." I'll make the obvious point that was 10 years ago. He hasn't stopped. He kept going, and here we are a decade later. With the benefit of hindsight, should Germany, should NATO have done more?
Of course, when writing the book, I have asked myself that very question. And looking back, I think it was good and right to try everything to find a peaceful solution to the conflict between Russia and Ukraine, because we see the high number of victims now. That has not been successful. And I also write in the book that, from my perspective, the COVID pandemic has made it even more difficult to find solutions to the problem, because over a very long period of time, we have not been able to get in touch personally. We only had contacts via telephone. With that war of aggression in February 2014, Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine, the world has fundamentally changed, in particular for us, the Europeans. And now we need to show military strength to respond to this. And in the midterm, of course, we also need to find ways to put an end to this war, but in a way that Ukraine remains a sovereign state, a state that can make its own choices and decisions.
I guess the big picture question is, did you underestimate Vladimir Putin?
No, I don't think so. For that very reason, already in 2008 in Bucharest, when there was a NATO summit, I was opposed to accepting Ukraine too quickly into NATO. In 2008 already, we've seen that he attacked Georgia. And at the time, I believed that we should do everything that was possible to find peaceful solutions, but I have not underestimated him. I was full of concern and worries that actually we would enter up in a strong conflict. And in 2022, well, we found that this was true.
And here we are again. He ended up starting the biggest conflict in Europe since World War II. Tens of thousands of people have died. Nothing could have been done to stop it?
Up until now, no one has found such a possibility, but I'm no longer actively involved in politics. I can only write about this, and those who support Ukraine today must work together with Ukraine to find solutions to put an end to this conflict. But I can no longer make any contribution because my active political time has come to an end.
You also write about Donald Trump, about meeting him at the White House after he was elected president. This was 2017, and that you flew home from that meeting feeling uneasy. Why?
Donald Trump as president was a person who very strongly supported his ideas. That's natural. That's what every president of the United States of America does, as every chancellor does that. But Donald Trump, less than others, believes in the capability or the quality of a compromise. He wants to be the sole winner in any type of conflict, and he does not believe in any win-win situation where both sides benefit from a solution. And that makes the collaboration more difficult and different than with other heads of government.
He called into question NATO as a collaborative security alliance. As you know, many people are wondering whether this moment, his re-election, signals the end of the post-World War II era of American leadership in the world. Does it?
I hope that President-elect Trump, as he did in his first term of office, now also understands that NATO does not only serve the purpose of protecting Europe with the support of the US and Canada, but that the partnership with Europe is also a benefit for the United States of America, because together are we much stronger against those that do not want our way of life. Russia, China, it means that there are good reasons, even for the United States of America, to want NATO to be strong. What we have understood in Europe, and in particular in Germany, is that we need to do more for our defense, which we did not do sufficiently in the past.
So is that a no to my question? This is not the end of U.S. leadership on the world stage?
I do not want to
leadership Amerikas
believe that this is the end of U.S. leadership. I don't believe it, and I hope not.
I want to bring us to an end, circling back to where we began, and questions about being a woman leader. Donald Trump is a man known to hurl insults at women. He uses misogynistic language. He has attacked Nancy Pelosi as evil, sick, and crazy. He called Kamala Harris low IQ and stupid. He talks about grabbing women by their genitals. He's been held liable for sexual abuse. Did you ever sense he underestimated you because you are a woman?
No, I did not have that feeling. I think I was the personification of Germany for him. Partly he was a bit rough towards us regarding tariffs, regarding our economic strength as a country. We talked about that frequently. But what you have just described is something that I cannot confirm.
That was Angela Merkel speaking with NPR's Mary Louise Kelley about her memoir, Freedom. And that's it for the pod today. We'll see you tomorrow.
Hi, I'm Catherine Marr, CEO of NPR, where we're guided by a bold mission to create a more informed public. Join us today by giving at donate.npr.org.
Hi, I'm Ramteen Arablouei from Throughline. Electricity, internet, cell service, all the things we rely on every day can be unreliable or inaccessible in an emergency. But through any storm or crisis, radio is a lifeline. Support the resource that's here for you no matter what. Give today at donate.npr.org.
Ho, ho, ho! Santa here, coming to you from the North Pole, where the elves in our podcast division have just completed work on this season's best gift for public radio lovers, NPR Plus. Give the gift of sponsored free listening and even bonus episodes from your favorite NPR podcasts, all while supporting public media. Learn more at plus.npr.org. Ho, ho, ho!